Pogba will leave it for Rashford. He strikes. Oh, it's a goal! Staying on his feet this time. Look, they went for Martial. Lovely touch by Fernandez. Cavani! Rashford all the way across goal. What a finish that is!
Welcome everyone and welcome to All In, All United. Your boys Riemann Nico here as usual. And this evening we have on the panel, we have Greg, we have Bex, and we also have Simeon. All right, who are now bringing in the Hologram guys and gal. Hope all is well. How things?
Tough.
Okay, I guess but... I'll go first. Okay, so
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, tough few days, but I guess I'm still here. You know, we have made it, so I guess life goes on.
Go ahead, Greg.
Let's be honest. From Wednesday up to now, then compared to dealing with Saturday, hardest few days of my life. I am not going to lie.
Tough.
And I've had to deal with the marauding Chelsea fans coming into my messages, letting me know how history has been made, how everything mapped out, how they was gonna win the Champions League like this. I told them, okay, so if history is going to repeat itself, then I should expect a group stage elimination next year, right? So let's
hope so.
I throw in one little bit of shade I could, in the process. I mean, at the end of the day, if I had to go down, I go down swinging. So,
Simeon, talk to me. How you feeling?
Nah, man, same way, man. Same way. I mean, I've been hiding, man. All my Chelsea friends come to find me, man, hiding. You know, my sister's a big Chelsea fan. You know, I text her up. I'm like, congrats. Chelsea's blue. She said no. She's like no. Put some respect on my Chelsea name. Europe is blue. I'm like, she's like, yeah, but respect.
What?
I'm like, I want to talk to you, man. I can't even talk to my sister, man. I can't even talk to. Man, the head get big, man. The head get big. It ain't good right now, man.
Thankfully, I don't have that problem. Thankfully, my sister's a United fan, so I don't have that problem.
Hey, David, welcome, man. Thanks for joining. Good night, lads and ladies. So, as you know, David would have started it. Bex, how are you feeling?
Depressed still, but life really does go on. I mean, I'm still trying to process it, especially, to be honest, yesterday was not that bad. I prefer Chelsea win over City any day, so I feel a little better.
Lesser two evils, to be honest. Lesser two evils.
Yeah, exactly.
You all know, right? I heard some City fans, they had the audacity to come out and say, yeah. They in small numbers though, in small numbers, right? But they had the audacity to come out on social media and say that if Pep had won the Champions League, then he would have been greater than Sir Alex Ferguson. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a big cap.
I don't know where did this be crawling out from within the last 3 years as a club, So the lesser two evils won, and I'm taking that. Hey, Richard, welcome, man. Thanks for joining everybody. Yeah, that's how we feeling, but again.
Yeah, boy.
So, guys, as we hear now, right? A lot to be discussed when we consider everything. We're going back on that, that fateful evening where everybody was expecting Man United to hoist a trophy, Ole Gunnar's first trophy. And for reasons that we're going to get into tonight, I'm sitting here feeling depressed, feeling, now recovering. Let me talk about what happened that fateful night on it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what happened on that fateful night Wednesday. So let me get back into the game a little, because hindsight is always golden, and we're going to operate based on hindsight today. Right? So feel free to say he should have taken off the hair, or he should have played Martial? Feel free. Let me go. Talk to me, Nico.
In hindsight, I think playing all your cards up front, you should have hold something back. You know, yes, I know he would have talked about Fred, Fred not training since the Fulham game, and he only trained one day before the Fulham game. But to me, that's what worked for you now. That's what worked for the entire season. And we saw that playing Pogba high up the field worked for us. And playing Pogba deep will take away from a lot of creativity, right? And if we go back, I get some feedback on somebody, right? And even if you go back to the Roma game, Pogba is the player who created the first chance, and with that trickery and that quality in the attacking third. And I think that, we should have gone with what was tried and trusted, because Fred would have came on and you would have, I don't know in terms of fitness, I think you would definitely be fit enough, because if you really think about it, if Fred is one of your main players on the team, even coming through one session should have been sufficient to be able to start. If he's a main player in your team and fits your system to a T, and if one of your main players in your system is fit, at least fit enough to train one session, and we saw what Fred would have came on and did okay, right? Then to me, in hindsight, that is, that we should have played with what we were accustomed playing with, right? With the McFred, but that would have carried us through the season, and played with Pogba higher up as an attacking threat, that we know where he's most comfortable, we know where he is most free of the burden of the defensive discipline type player. And I think if we did that, I think we'd have created more than in two chances we have created against Villarreal. Because Pogba is neat and tidy in those tight areas, and I think that's what we missed. I think, and even with Greenwood coming off the bench, right? Let me say if we play with Greenwood or we Rashford, whatever, But for me, I find Rashford coming off the bench don't really work as a Greenwood coming off the bench. So playing Rashford, and then you're coming on with Greenwood with that hunger, that desire to want to make a mark of that Greenwood that we have seen in the past. I think that would have won us the game. So I think Oli playing his full hand or showing his hand, from the start worked against us, and I think maybe in hindsight that would have cost us the game.
And you said something about Fred then, Nico, his excuse for Fred. But I am sure if Maguire did make that one session, Maguire would have started.
Possibly,
Anyway.
Exactly. What I mean?
Yeah. Go through, Greg.
Sorry. I don't know what else there is to say, honestly, because I think Nico took up most of what could have gone right had we played the right system, had we stuck to what we knew. You knew you had that double pivot of McTominay and Fred that worked the majority of the season. You kind of don't stray from your game plan and allow it to really execute the way it could. And this is why I was thinking, maybe Pogba might have been more effective coming off the bench as well too, because like I said, we saw it in the Milan game. We saw it in a couple of other matches where he came off and he made an instant impact. So I'm thinking in situations like that, you want to have an extra secret weapon to come off and dominate and change the game in a way where you have someone who could control and boss the midfield. Villarreal kind of saw what was going on, and Emery countered everything that we had going forward. So you're basically playing most of your major weapons, and Greenwood is probably the only other thing. A lot of people would probably say, why Donny van de Beek didn't get a chance to do anything in this game? Because we've seen in instances where he's made little cameos. That's opened up defenses in some games. So I don't know if it's still that lack of trust. I don't know if it's a situation where he didn't trust the system, and he just allowed the game to get away when where you could have seen instances where he could have put it away earlier. And there was a lack of creativity. You saw Bruno Fernandes being targeted throughout that game. So his ability to be as effective as he is accustomed to was completely nullified by the defensive midfielders there. I think Iborra was one of them. So it made it hard for us to really control the game the way we wanted to. We were glad to get the equalizer from Cavani. It would look like it was only him and Scott McTominay were the only ones really trying to put some sort of serious effort into it. Rashford, I believe, should have came off because every time he was running, but it wasn't really doing anything. And it was a lot of things that went horribly wrong. I mean, I could pinpoint other things, but I don't know. Just it's a lot to process.
Yeah. Just get some comments before I go to Bex, right? Hey Hamon, good night, man. Thanks for joining. And Ronald Super Sad, thanks for joining, buddy. He's saying, "Sai, too many trophyless seasons." Yeah, and if you look at the title of the review that we have here, is another trophyless season. You know, so anyway, Bex, go through it, you know.
All right, so yeah, so from start to end, it was just mistake after mistake. I think it was just not having Maguire. I think Ole felt he needed to shore up the defense, hence pushing Pogba deeper, and that had an effect on the team all the way through to the forwards. McTominay tried, Bruno tried, Cavani tried, but that was, to me, that was the extent of those who tried. Like Nico said, Pogba sitting deep is never going to work. He needs the freedom to go forward and create. And we cannot have Bruno as our only creator going forward. It will not work. He nullified easily. And as long as all the defenders see that all your creativity goes through one player, they will target that one player. And that's going to be the end of it. So from the time he was nullified, creativity dried up in a sense. Lack of chances, Rashford not being at his best yet again, and Cavani and Greenwood being our only clinical players. It was always going to end like that.
Yeah. Let's get some comments here. So Nigel, welcome, buddy. Thanks for joining. Saying, well, good night, ladies and gents. Well, lady and gents. All right. And we have David as well saying Marcel wouldn't have missed that one, Irene. And I don't know if you're talking about the Rashford chance.
I don't know which, but to me, Rashford still look way offside though. I don't know if let's see
Rashford wasn't offside. I think Bruno would have been the one offside. That was, if they were to review it, would have been on Bruno, not Rashford.
Okay.
But it would have still be a real tight call. So it was a bad miss.
That miss us too horrible, boy.
Yeah. And I agree with everything that being said about the game. You know, I remember when we were talking about the final before in one of the previous reviews, I remember saying you want to stick with your McFred. Now on the day I hyped, you know, whatever Ollie put out, I go in head on with it, you know. But you know to the back of your head why it is you're not sticking with what would have been the tried and true setup. And as I've mentioned earlier, I don't buy the whole Fred injury thing. I really don't buy that. It didn't make sense, you know. And I go say it again. If Maguire could make one training session, he'd have start Maguire. So why not Fred? Right? Because we saw in that game how we lacked, and Bex, you talked about it. Bruno was the only outlet high up the pitch. So there, Villarreal's job was pretty easy. Deal with Bruno, and you have nothing again in terms of creativity. Had Pogba played higher up, then they would have had to deal with Pogba and Bruno. You understand what I'm saying? And then now we talked about having quality to come off the bench. We had nothing or nobody on the bench that Ollie trusted. So in this game we call it poker. Ollie played all he can to, and then he get figured out and he got his skin cut and he lost how much millions. You understand what I'm saying? So it's coming down to a lot of naivety from our manager, right? That I think cost us. Yes, certain players didn't show up on the day, but ultimately the manager had to take some form of responsibility because we were expecting as fans, if we as fans could sit here and say, well, why he didn't go with what was tried and tested.
Mhm.
You take Villarreal for granted. You are of the assumption that you put on your best players and they go win the game. Then our next thing, two fellas and lady, how many substitutions did Unai Emery make? And Oli come in the dregs after seeing that your players were not performing, they were not getting the job done. You're still delaying to change up things. So then you don't have a plan B. You understand what I'm saying?
That has been my biggest criticism when it comes to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. These late substitutions, and then, like you said, in the 99th hour, that you looking to do something like that, because it was literally the 99th minutes. You could almost say that he was bringing on players to really kind of see if they had changed anything, taking off Van Bissaka and bringing on like Daniel James and Alex Telles and these guys. And I'm saying to myself, why couldn't you have done this earlier?
No, that's
you have players
That
tactically.
was for penalties.
That was strictly for penalties.
Which I found to be stupid, because at the end of the day, it's like you have a whole 30 minutes to do something. What is stopping you from doing something that can change up the dynamic of how the game is being played, how your team is running? You have players like Amad Diallo and Donny van de Beek, like I mentioned earlier, who might have made an impact running at Villarreal's defense, because you could have seen that even Unai Emery was recognizing that his players were tiring out because of the pace of United's players. Play more pace at them to make them uncomfortable. You never know. Diallo probably cuts in, gets a shot, it ricochets. Cavani's there to pick up the pieces, and you get the lead. You could have never told, if you had tried to go for something that would have given us a better chance to win it before it got to the shootout. Because the minute I saw a shootout coming, I was very uncomfortable. I was very, very uncomfortable. And the results from it showed me exactly why I was feeling that way.
Yeah. Go ahead. If anybody else want to interject.
Yeah, it's just the same situation about the subs. Entire season, same criticism. Refusal to make subs when after the 75th minute is when you want to do everything. 80th minute, you want to make a change. You giving a player 10 minutes to make an impact. And for me, it just shows that, to be honest, you don't trust your bench, which I get is understandable. I mean, we don't have, outside of maybe Greenwood before, we have Diallo now. Outside of these players, we don't really have a bench we can trust to make a difference, per se. But you're in a final, you have no choice. You take the risk and you go for it. At the point when he started making those subs, it was all for that penalty shootout. And for me, the game was instantly lost from then. There was no coming back from it.
Yeah. Let me just get some comments here, guys, before we move forward, all right? Richard saying, to be honest, in a way, he gets a message to the board. We need reinforcement. Sancho, Pau Torres, and Swallow. I don't know if that was a typo. It was just trying to really stutter there, Richard. Thanks for the comment. Josel, I know last review you had referred to this person as a she, right? But is a male, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. But thanks for joining, buddy. All right. Hey Davian, welcome, man. All your Davian vexed, Davian real vex.
Yeah, but
yeah. Davian upset.
Totally.
Yeah. He's saying only out. He said
We like
he's also
going in
saying
cycles, don't we?
Yeah, he's saying he's a reactive, not proactive. Just as also saying, or Hosel, I don't know. He said my point exactly. He made those changes way too late. Yeah, and I think that's a criticism of Oli for quite some time. And I would just take a little dig at Nico and Bex here, because I don't know if Oli remember the last time we had a review. I can't remember if it was the second leg Roma game where we were talking about Oli having to use the bench a little more. And Oli was saying, no, men are dying on the pitch. Men was dying on the pitch in the final and didn't deliver. If Oli had done what he was supposed to do earlier this season and use his bench, then come this rounds, at this stage, he'd have more confidence in his players.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Right. But again, right, to me we had enough firepower because Greenwood, let me say, he didn't make a decision with Fred, right? To me, Greenwood alone coming off the bench was gonna win that game. Even if, let me go back to the last game where we played against Wolves, it would have had players who would have showed themselves, ready to say, well, all right, if it is have to come off the bench, I can come off the bench and make an impact. Because the likes of Ahmad, even the pace and quality of Ilanga, just saying, because it's 5 substitutes you had. You had 5 to make, right? Ilanga showed himself ready and willing and hungry to make a change. So even in the Wolves game, if we had to let me say, all right, who is the players who would have made an impact in the last game if you had to make a decision for the final? Players who, as we normally say, a game from before the final, you put yourself in the shop window. There would have been players who would have put themselves in the shop window. Van der Beek, let me just say, as much as we may have rated him, he brings something different. So he would have been able to bring something different for the final. So to me, right, maybe they didn't show themselves for the entire season, but we have been watching football for how many years, how many seasons. We have seen that players who came into their own a game or two before came into a final and made a difference.
Yeah, but Nico, it had no way, right? It had no way. Let me be real. It had no way, no matter if Ilanga had scored a hat-trick against Wolves, that he was going to get minutes in a final.
Well,
probably if we were up 3-0.
That could be foolish that could be foolish from Oli, because if you have a player in that level of form to score a hat-trick in a game before with that level of confidence, you want to bring that level of confidence in a final that you want to win?
Oli just was not going to do that. You look at you just look at his track record, Nico. He wasn't going to do that. But what I'm saying,
that's foolish.
Even more than right, but even more than that, the point I and a couple others were making even before is, had you moved away from those late substitutions, right, earlier in the season, where you're waiting until 88 minutes, even the game, and I'm still annoyed by that game, that Leeds game, where Van der Beek come on for 3 minutes, Cavani come on for 5 minutes. You understand what I'm saying? That showed me that you have no plan B, right? Now, it's clear that Mata, Van der Beek, can't do what Rashford might be doing because he's a pace guy. He uses physicality, his athletics abilities, whatever. So you telling me if you don't have a quick player to run on the link, then you can't play a next player? And I'm an issue. So Ahmad is a youth player. He might have some of the qualities that you will get from Rashford. But Ahmad, or not Ahmad, Elanga, not ready for that game. You understand what I'm saying? When they consider where you could do with other players, like the players of the experience, Van der Beek playing a Champions League final already in the semi-finals. Ahmad don't have that.
So I call Ilanga name, I call Ahmad name, I call Van der Beek name, because more or less that was the players who stood out. So to me, that could have been some of the options I had. So I'm not saying go to Ilanga. Definitely, if he scored a hat-trick against Wolves, and I say go with him for sure, right? However, those are the options he would have had at his disposal with players of confidence to make a difference. Because if we look at the substitutes that Villarreal would have made, right? He just brought on players who would have been struggling for the entire season, but just knew that they would have been adding fresh legs, right, to the team. And that's all he wanted, fresh legs to hold United that day. So to me, Ole had enough options. Let me say, all right, let me go with something outside the box, but he just didn't choose it, as we have seen, not only this season, but even last season. That is Ole tactics. Ole tactics is, all right, if my first team are doing it, then he clueless, and we have seen it again.
Yeah, but Nico, I am sure that the difference between Ole and Unai Emery in this situation is that even though they may not be of the same quality of players, I'm sure that even if Unai Emery needs to change his players, they fit into this system and he trusts them a lot more. So if anybody is injured or something like that, they'll be able to rotate easier. Ole, on the other hand, and again, my biggest criticism, if he had given Donny van der Beek games where he gets like 15-minute intervals, 20-minute intervals to be able to play alongside other players. You might have seen a different dynamic. And to counteract what you're saying about Anthony Elanga, I'm not saying that he's not a decent player. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been a decent prospect. But you can't compare a game where it's the last game of the season in the Premier League. To either side, that means nothing. There's no sense of pressure on Anthony Elanga compared to going into a final where you're playing for a competition to win a trophy. For him,
and your team need a goal. And your team need a goal.
And mind you, that would have been only his third game in the senior team all season. That would have been unfair to Anthony Elanga to put him under that kind of immense pressure.
But at players at that level, that's what I want. And he may possibly have made a difference. That is what I want. Trust me, coach. Trust me.
Or he could have froze up. Or he could have froze up. It doesn't matter.
At 19 years old, at this level, you're ready. Anyway, go ahead.
I've seen Bex, just stirring there. I don't know if you want to jump in here, Bex.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're not ready to play at that level, what are you doing on the bench in a first team game? I understand why he's there. Lack of options. I mean, who else are we going to put? Everybody else is injured. We don't have any other players. I understand that. But if the manager trusts you enough to put you on the bench, then he should trust you enough to put you in the game. At least when something needs changing up. Because at the point when Ole started making subs, anybody could have come on and done something different. Anybody could have made a difference. It doesn't matter if he would have changed the game or not. The fact that he didn't take the risk of putting on any of these players is what I have the issue with. If they had come on and done absolutely nothing, then fine. You know what? You took the risk. It didn't work. But you refused to make a sub until you needed players on the pitch for the eventuality of penalties. That was the ridiculous thing.
Greg, before you go, let me just get Simeon to weigh in on this now.
All right, okay.
I don't know if
but the connection is same.
All right, Simeon, your connection given some problems. All right, so check it out and come back in now. All right, Kobe not hearing you. Go through, Greg.
Okay, well, Bex, I mean, and I get what you're saying entirely, and I'm thinking, all right, you have a player like Anthony Elanga who made that impact, and he was on the bench, like you said. No, not too many major options there available to say that you have game changers coming off per se. But I mean, you put the scenario where you actually bring him onto the pitch. Suppose he misses a heap of chances and gilt-edged chances on top of that. Then the headlines would have been saying that, oh, he heaped all this pressure on this young boy who has barely played anything all season. So I think it was more of a protective move not to put him on. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying entirely. I think
you know why
you have players
matter?
like that. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't matter because Rashford was doing nothing on the pitch. Absolutely nothing. So taking him off for somebody else who does nothing would have made no difference at that point.
I guess.
Should have risked it. But he didn't.
But I'm thinking, it was more for me, it was more of a creative issue more than just like attacking options issue. If the players that he had that were there could have given us a bit more creativity, again, going back to the whole issue, why he didn't play Van der Beek, I think if he had more of a different dimension that could have opened up Villarreal more, Cavani wouldn't have been so starved. Bruno wouldn't have been so isolated. Pogba wouldn't have to be so deep because you have Donny who would be able to fit in and allow Pogba to go forward. So it was more from a deeper lying position because you have people who were squeezing what little creativity we possibly had in that part. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many things, so many angles we can take this from. We can be here all night.
All right, Simeon, I don't know if you're back on.
I hope so.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
All right, man. I mean, it's United. I mean, we're supposed to have a big team, right? All transfer market, we're begging for players. Okay, we are just a new center back, no center back. Okay, we are a midfielder, no midfielder, and now we need one. I mean, Ali buy Van der Beek. Why is Van der Beek on our team? Why we spend $35 million for Van der Beek? And when we need him, I mean, when we need somebody in there to come on, you can't put him in the game. Really? Why is he there for? You know, you can't go a whole game without. I mean, I was watching the game and like you saw Pogba grabbing his hamstrings. You see Rashford on the floor. You know, you see people just breaking down because as good as you are, I mean, and the Villarreal coach knows this. I don't care how good you are. One guy, you know, coming in, that a fresh guy coming in is going to be better than a guy that's tired and worn down. And you saw at the time when Greenwood would come in, normally in the game, and he would, you know, kind of spur the whole second half comeback. There was no one to come on. And our guys, instead of, you know, rising to the occasion, were dying down. And Ollie didn't see this. By the time Ollie made his first sub, Villarreal probably made about 3 or 4 subs. It had a whole new team out there, a whole new system going. And Ollie never adjusted. It's like he never said, you know, and you watching, and I was driving home from work, and the guy was like, why doesn't Ollie adjust his tactics? Why doesn't he change his formation? Change something. Don't just do the same thing, you know, running against a brick. It's like, man, I love Ollie, man, but I can't stand that. I can't stand what he did that game, man. I look back now and I'm like, how could you not change your team until, is it stoppage time? No, it's injury. It's
Extra time.
Extra time, right? I mean, that's heresy. I mean, how can you go? I mean, like, another point we're making. Solskjaer made his name for being a. I mean, no, wait.
United, I guess against United, that might be
Solskjaer made his.
Let him finish.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we get some technical issues. Okay.
Solskjaer made his name for being a super sub, right? He came on late in the game to win the Solskjaer came in the biggest game as a sub, and he and Teddy Sheringham, you know, made the game, you know, got us a treble.
Yeah. All right. Let me just get some comments here. Yeah, no, you're good. Right? Let me just get some comments here because we had the comments. Yeah, the comments piled. So let me just get some comments, right?
Oh gosh,
David saying I was screaming for Rashford to come off in the 60th, 70th minute, and he didn't. Yeah, Simeon, we're hearing you. All right, and he didn't make any changes until the 100th minute. Is that the time when he made the first substitution?
I think so.
Wow, it's very late.
All right.
Davian saying Villarreal played for the penalties and Ollie gave it to them. You know, this is an interesting comment because it's the thing about it being Manchester United manager against a team like Villarreal in a final. The pressure is on Man United to go at the team to get the goals to win the game. Villarreal would have come in with a plan to hear what's going on. Let me stifle this team out and let me see how long we could survive. Right? Probably they didn't realize that this Man United team was so disorganized. Right? So I knew at the point when Villarreal would have scored that goal, they would have been like, wait now, we could actually win this scenario. You know? Because we have a goal, now they have to come and break us down to score. And then all we had to do is hold our end and push this thing to a penalty shootout, because earlier that penalty shootout was a quality penalty shootout. Yeah.
Except for the last kick.
Sell
out.
Bro.
They did say in the first half of extra time you saw men getting tired. Yeah.
Before that, before the 90th minute, we saw men getting tired.
Yeah. Hussein saying the bench is part of the team, but as a coach, you need a secondary contingency plan.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. Okay, I think I read that already. Right? Davian saying I'm mad we and Chelsea winning the Champions League made it worse.
Yes,
And all they want to give.
I feel.
And you said, I want to give this man a fresh player. Oh, yeah. Okay, all out. We hear you, Davian. We hear you. Hey, Jody, welcome, man.
Hey, Jody.
Blessed night to you
man.
as well.
Yeah.
Guys, don't forget to like and share the video as well, right? We want to get as much opinions in on the discussion, right? David also saying, nah, I disagree. You signed for Man United, you should expect pressure, and Elanga or Ahmad could have come on. So he's agreed with Nico and Vex on this one. All right. Richard saying, I can't say Oli out now. You had to give the man time and the signings he wants, and then judge the man. We see he overachieved with this side. Let's get other players and then see what's the outcome. All right. Davian saying, but I don't know if that's intentional. When Oli came, he said he would play the youth, right? And we know the common and capital letters is sarcasm. Anyway, he's a fraud.
Strong words, boy.
I tell him Davian Vex. Vex.
Tell Davian to go have a drink now.
Nigel said Oli kept Rashford on the pitch for moments of brilliance, and that's poor management. Yeah. But the thing about it earlier, Rashford get him on it in the past too, eh?
Exactly.
But we could have seen it from early. What time Rashford needed to produce that? He had a lot of time and he wasn't coming up.
Yeah, I literally saw him in a couple of times, like he was clutching his ankle, and you could see he was kind of playing through a pain barrier. So it's like that should be a sign in your mind. It's like, okay, you know what? Because like he can't make, let him come off the pitch.
You know.
Jody saying this is the season we will get who we need in the team.
Because of the protest. They got the protest, not because of the performance on the pitch.
Yeah, just a little side note, guys, before we go any further. I know they said that the Glazers are supposed to meet with fans on June the 4th. So
yeah,
I don't know what to expect from that, but unless he's telling us that he's going to throw out a whole 200 million to add to the transfer market.
Alone?
Then,
200 million alone?
Well, he money. He money. That's what I'm looking for.
Richard saying Woodward bought Van der Beek, not Oli. And that's what people are not realizing. Davian saying every season I hear him overachieving with 0 trophies. The man that's every mama, that's even mama guy.
I hope so.
But you said the man can't even mama guy. Davian Vex, Davian, cold water, can take a little bath. But leave the review, right?
No, he need a shut up punch it. Something wrong.
So, hear what, right? I mean, let's get into this part of the discussion, right? We see now this is just for discussion purposes. Only this doesn't reflect the views of All in All United. Let me just put that out there. You know, Nick and myself, we still, you know, believe that Oli is the guy. You know, yes, he naive. Yes, he make mistakes as every other human being, as many other coaches made. And if I could jump at it, I could jump and talk about Pep on Saturday. Made some foolish mistakes that cost him that game. But anyway, Man United. Oli gonna or Oli gonna? Let me hear you.
You start with
Anybody.
Ole gonna. Gone. Very gone. Yeah, gone. United is not a mid-table club. I think we're past saying that we're transitioning from Sir Alex Ferguson, and we're past giving managers time. Why didn't Tuchel get time? He didn't need time to win Chelsea a Champions League.
Go on.
He didn't need time. What time again does Ole need? What is he going to do with that time? Who is he going to buy? Has he proved that giving him more time and giving him more players will change anything? I don't think he has. And Ole is not a tactician. Ole was there to put in place to make players happy after Mourinho. That's what he was put in place for. The coaches are Carrick and McKenna.
McKenna.
Yeah.
That's who the coaches are. Ole is the manager. He said it himself. He is the manager. He's not the coach. He's not the one coaching the team. So if he's there to coach, then to manage, then fine. If keeping players happy is what the club wants, then fine. But the coaching is atrocious. United does not have an identity, no matter how much they preach about DNA. They do not have an identity. We just fit players in positions and hope for the best. And it's not working. So I think he needs to go. And I asked the last time I was here about progress and success and what we would consider a successful season and if this is enough progress for United fans. And I said that I would comment after the final what I think. This is not enough progress. This is not success. And I don't think we should settle or else we'll become Arsenal. And nobody wants that.
Hey, that's
Fired.
hey, after
That
after,
cut me deep.
no,
That cut
after
me very
Becky,
deep.
what's my after Becky talk there? I can't on Becky's side right now. Hey, yeah, what I did say, yeah, let's drop the mic. Let's, I saw it.
Yeah, because I mean Arsenal
Hey,
started celebrating fourth place. We don't want that. And now
yeah,
they're not even getting fourth place anymore. So it's
exactly.
like
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
something's gotta give. You have to make a decision at some point. Do you want to give the manager time or do you want trophies? And United is not a club anymore to give managers time. I think during Sir Alex Ferguson's reign, he got time and it was successful. I wouldn't say he made United. United has its name, but he made United what it is known for today, success and trophies. And that should be what is continued. We're past transitioning. It's time to win.
Hey, preach, you preach, man. Woo!
Let me get Simeon in on this one time.
Now, what she said, man. I mean that was it right there. I mean, I just have two things to add. Um, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was his fame was from being a sub, a super sub, and that's his whole thing. Yet he don't make subs. I mean, what does that say to begin with? You know, they were. I mean, Ferguson had a problem bringing on him, and but Solskjaer, I don't know what his tactics is. And two, we look across Europe this last week. Managers are getting fired, kicked out of the club like nothing.
Mhm.
I mean, that those teams have standards to which they hold their clubs to. What are our standards? I mean, yes, second seems great considering our team, but if you look at other teams all year, I mean, we've overachieved because other teams have dropped their level. It's not because we've been great. We're making the same mistakes at the beginning of the year, you know, at the end of the year as at the beginning of the year. So a lot of stuff has not been fixed. Set piece, conceding a goal. I mean, how long? I mean, last time you're like, oh, we ain't serious. It ain't important. But they came back in the big game and we. I mean, who's coaching these guys? But Ali's gonna be there until the board decides they want better, and that's the big problem. Like, if the board wanted to be first, I don't think Ali would be there. I just think they're fine with being second and being in top four.
Okay. All right. So Greg, for you and Nico, right? Will Ollie ever win us a trophy? So I don't know who wanna go first. Men I don't think we.
No, it tough.
Rock,
See that?
Nico, rock, paper, scissors, or?
No, I'm going. But what I'm saying,
Mhm.
it's tough. It really tough because we have struggled, to proceed from a semi-final to a final, and we thinking that all right, we overcame that hurdle, and let me see your tacticalness come to the fore now. Let me see what you really have, because now it's a final. Now you're against a coach who's also in a final, who will have, their tactical ability or their tactical know-how about them. So it's final against final. Let me say quality coaching against quality coaching. And Emery, we saw Emery in the Premier League, and Emery struggled in the Premier League, right? And the best Emery could have hoped for was to go to penalties. That was the best he could have hoped for. And our coaching couldn't have rise to the challenge that, yeah, what all this coach is going to hope for is to go down to penalties, right? So where we have to be sharp on is the set plays, because that way they're going to bank most of their strengths on, right? When they get a corner, when they get a free kick, that is where they're looking to win the game. And as long as they don't win the game with a set play, then there's no other way for them to win the game. So what is we going to do now to ensure we win the game, right? Ensure we don't concede on set plays, for one, and that has failed. So again, it showed to me that the coaching would have had one on the day, the quality of coaching, and I said that in the Champions League. When we was out of the Champions League, I said it's not the best teams that went forward, but the best coaches went forward from our group, right? Because to me, I think at that point, we were playing better football than Leipzig, right? We were playing, you could say, even better football than PSG at that time, because Tuchel was still there and they wasn't playing the brand of football that PSG wanted. However, PSG and RB Leipzig, they are the teams that went forward because why? Not because of the better team, but the better coach. And the same thing happened in the Europa League final. They had the better coach for the final. So now, when we reach our next final or semi-final, do we have superior coaching? Do we have superior tactics? And to me, no. To me, no. Because you saw it in simple as the substitutions. Not being able to make a substitute to impact the game. Right? Not even picking your team. Well, again, we're not on the inside to know exactly what we're on the inside in terms of players' fitness. But you had a go-to formation and change that because why? Right? To me, you don't even trust your own tactics. So to me, would Ole Gunnar Solskjaer win a title? No. No, and I'm going to blank
not a title, not a title, not a title, a trophy. A trophy.
A trophy? No.
Yeah,
no, a trophy? Okay. No.
All right. Well said. I mean, watch me. Ole has starts. Yeah. Ole in and Ole am shaky. Go through, Greg.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody seems to be on this agenda with Ole out because they think it's not good enough. I mean, I keep remembering that it took Sir Alex 3 years before he won his first trophy. So I think everybody just needs to just kind of not react too quickly to certain things. I look at it like this: if he does not get the backing of for as regards like the players that he would want to come to the team, then it probably would be a situation where he'll just have to probably just hang his hat and say, all right, time's up. But if he gets the players and you say that, okay, we're at the group stage of the Champions League, if he still doesn't progress from there, then for me, then it's time to go. I just want to see how things play out within the first few matches before I jump to that conclusion and say that automatically things are bad, because managers learn from their mistakes at some point. Yes, it seems that he hasn't learned from it in the past, but it doesn't mean that it's always going to be a continuing cycle. Everybody, if that was the case, then he would have never made it to this final, because everybody was saying that he can't make it past the semi-final stage. He makes it to a final. He doesn't win the final. Automatically, he's just never good enough anymore. We have to stop thinking that because everybody else is changing. It's like, all right, everybody taking drugs. That mean we got to do it. We have to stop being so reactionary at times. I get it's frustrating. I get it's disappointing we lost the final. People are going to win games. People are going to lose games every 2 seconds. It's not something that we want to happen. And many times there have been situations where smaller clubs have beat bigger clubs. Look at Porto and Juventus in the Champions League. Anybody expected Porto to win them 2 legs? So I think it's just it's sometimes we just have to stop thinking that it's automatically going to be downhill from there because these results happen. Because the time we lost to Arsenal, everybody thought, okay, we're going to probably stay in the relegation zone whole season. Look what happened. We came second. We literally improved on the position that we were in from the season before. We went up third, and we came to second, and also improved by our position or 12 points better. So I'm not saying that I'm happy with the success that we've had. I'm glad to see it, but I still want more too. But it doesn't mean that we throw everything that's been done to the wayside because we see Chelsea changing their coach, because we see PSG changing their coach, because we see this one, that one, the next one changing their coach. That doesn't automatically mean a change of coach is going to mean automatic success. Because we've had Jose Mourinho who spent 300 plus, and he won 2 trophies and he still got fired. What makes it to say that the next coach that comes in, people saying Zidane, people saying we should have gone for Nagelsmann? How are we so certain that those coaches would have been as successful? Something fundamentally has to change. I get that, but let's not jump on that bandwagon. But I'm saying it right here. If we don't progress from the group stage of the Champions League this season coming here, then I think it's best that we move on. I don't hate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't disrespect what he's done for the club, but I just don't think that if you can't progress from where you are there now, then it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, nice, well said. What, Greg? What? But so hear this, right? And keep this in mind because I will ask this question, and I'll go to the comments, and then I'll come back, right? Do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Solskjaer overachieved or underachieved this season gone, right? Let me just get the comments. Jody saying Glazers put out 120 mil. Well, this upcoming window we're talking about. Sell Lingard, Mata, Magic, or Matic. And one of the goalkeepers, De Gea, which might scrape in another 100 million. And we might have about 220 million to get players. All right, so that is Jody's, plan to buy. Jody, I don't understand. Where's that one you're selling De Gea? Where's that one? De Gea turn, Richard saying, so which manager gonna give you long-term success without time? Look at Klopp, how much time he got, and the only reason this season he ain't shop is because of injuries. Davian saying Klopp was already a proven manager with great potential.
Klopp in his first job also got a club relegated. Just so we clear, when he was manager of Mainz, they got relegated under him. Just so we clear.
That's what I also. When it is that Klopp would have won the Champions League with Liverpool, was Klopp who won the Champions League with Liverpool?
Yeah.
Right. And how long after he came to the club? About 2 seasons, right?
2 seasons.
All right.
So he won it in the third. He won it in his 3rd season.
All right.
Yeah. David saying if Ole steps, then who are we replacing as manager? And would the Glazers support such a person in the market? That's also a very, very good pointer. I'm saying Manchester United is not a charity club to give men time. Either you're a winner or you're out.
I guess Chelsea doing that and they're reaping the benefits.
Well, watch my Chelsea was always that way earlier. Let me don't forget that Chelsea was always that way.
But look at Chelsea owner compared to the Glazers. Look at Roman compared to the Glazers. He's splashing money every single chance he gets. And on top of that, he had the hazard money sitting down because of the transfer ban. So miss me with that comment, no, Davion. He just don't like Ole, and because he not seeing the success that he wants, that he's automatically just saying that everything's going to just go better if he get a next coach. So what are you gonna do? Bring back Jose? Come on, man.
Surely not. Jody saying y'all keep wanting Ole to do it the Sir Alex Ferguson way. Y'all ever think that he want to do it his way? Richard saying, you now contradict your whole statement with giving Sir Alex Ferguson time. Look at Moyes, Van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho from 2013 to 2018. A bunch of odd trophies. To win big trophies, we need to give the man time. And not backing the manager is not backing the team. All right, good comment, Richard. Davian saying Sir Alex Ferguson.
Listen, Greg, you had to move there right a little bit. I almost say. Yeah, nice, man.
Cool. Yeah. Davian saying Sir Alex Ferguson is the past. That don't bound to happen ever again. Stop bringing up that. Forget that.
So you telling me
He
to
also
forget
saying
a whole bigger piece of history of Manchester United? Seriously?
no.
Fabian?
I think what he mean is what would have worked for Sir Alex, or how the club would have approached Sir Alex in the earlier part when he was now being bedded into the team. Probably that may not be the same case now. So the romanticism behind giving Sir Alex Ferguson time, that seeing the success that we're seeing now, may not be the case if we give Ollie time. And I think that's the point he's making.
Chopping and changing ain't working either, because not everybody's going to be as successful at that point.
Yeah. So I guess it's good. It's very, very good arguments for and against, right? Davian saying we have great players. We just not a well-coached team. Yeah. Jody saying, so Nico, you saying Tuchel or Tuchel is better than Pep?
No. I never said that. Never said that.
Let's not get carried away.
However, under the pressure, I guess Tuchel, because Jody also had to remember that he wasn't even given a contract, no lengthy contract. So I guess he was also playing for a contract, So sometimes when you put somebody or back somebody in a corner, sometimes they give you more than you would have bargained for. And I think that is what would have happened to Tuchel. So definitely he would be getting a longer term contract, and most likely Chelsea will be in the top, somewhere at the bottom in the top 10 next season.
And just to add some further context to this, Jody, Pep has always, I don't know, like, I feel like Pep prayed Tuchel, because even in Germany, when Tuchel was in charge at Dortmund and Pep was at Bayern, Tuchel was always up he behind, always playing fire there. And every game that Chelsea played City this season, Chelsea won. So I don't know if that will mean anything to your comment. So moving on, guys. Simon, I'm posing it to you first, right? Overachieve or underachieve? Ollie.
Man, it's I have to go underachieve. I mean, when I look at what the team looks like at the beginning to the end, the mistakes that they made, I mean, look at us last year, at the end of the year, during the whole COVID thing. How good were we at the end of the year? Are we looking any better this year than we were at the end of last year? Because we made a big run at the end of the year. So offense was clicking, our defense had issues, and that's what cost us in the semis last year. Like, from year to year, how have we gotten better? You look at Liverpool, they fell off. You look at Chelsea, they had a little coaching. Even City had COVID issues. I mean, we had some, but not as much as some other teams. But like, if you look at a team from last year, at the end of last year to this year, what has changed? I would argue at the end of last year, we broke down teams low block better. Martial, who we all have issues about, he was great at breaking down, being in the penalty box, tracking the ball, and turning around in the penalty box. I mean, that was Martial's thing. He might miss the goal, but he will get in the penalty box and he will cause havoc. He will trip and fall along and get a penalty.
Nicole, like, you listening?
No, I'm not hearing. As Greg would have said,
I mean, the issues we have.
As Greg would have said with Davian comment, Miss Smith. Go ahead.
No, I mean, the issues. I mean, our offense was clicking last year. Our offense we haven't. I mean, Cavani came on, and we had that element of the crosses coming in. But our offense has always been good. It's our midfield and defense which were the problem. These inopportune, just mistakes, and they haven't fixed it. And Ollie's he's the manager. Fire somebody. I mean, at this point, I want to see you fire somebody, because you can't have the same mistakes over and over again. You can't at the end of the game and say, "Oh, we'll get better." My biggest point with Ollie is I don't see that fire to be like, no, this has to stop. Somebody is going to get fired. We have to do something. He always says we'll get better and just keeps repeating itself, and it's like Ollie, you like Mick, it's like I don't know. I just think he too like the Glazers. I think he's okay with being second best.
Beck?
Yeah. So to start where you left off, Simeon, Ole is a yes man to the Glazers. That for me is clear. He's a yes man, and I as well. I don't see the fire either. I don't. I think he wants best for United. To be honest, I think he's a genuine United fan, and he's happy to be in the job, and he wants the best for the club. I don't see him as the man to take us to our glory days again. We're not a well coached team, like one of the comments said. Um, maybe at some points during the season, I've been on the fence a lot. I must admit, I've been on the fence a lot about Ole. I was Ole in, I've been Ole out. I was Ole in, I'm Ole out again. I'm very reactionary when it comes to him. I must admit.
Oh, I'm guessing it's my turn.
No, I don't know if she finished, but I think she had a
Next.
little cut in her.
Yeah, she
so I don't know if
freeze. She freeze. She freeze.
Well, let me just get some comments until she comes back, right?
All right, cool.
All right. So, okay. All right. So I think she's back. Go ahead, Beck.
Yeah. So I don't see him as the man to take us forward. I don't know. I don't think he's going to lose his job. I think he keeps his job, and I think he gets the players he needs. I saw today that United have agreed personnel terms with Sancho, but to me that happened last season as well, and
Yes, it
Exactly.
it's
did.
all
Exactly.
it's all down to the two clubs not playing around with the money. So I think Ole is going to get his players. I just don't know if he will know what to do with them. He does not know what to do with Van der Beek. I don't know what the situation is going to be like. Um, I agree with Greg that chopping and changing managers is not the way to go. We don't want to be a Chelsea, even though it works for them. It really does work for them. That's twice now they fired managers mid-season and gone on to win the Champions League. But we don't want to be that club. So we try to stick with the manager and see where he leads us. But you know what? I'm willing to give him the chance as well until the Champions League group stages. If he does not progress, then he has to go. Because you make the same mistakes over and over again, that's insane. Just like with Pep and his overthinking in finals, Ole is starting to look like that. You know, I'll give him the chance. I have no problem because I genuinely like Ole. I like this group of players and I think he has underachieved with them. I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people make out. Rashford has been injured a lot this season and he's playing through these injuries, which I think is bad management. I think you should bench him, let him recover, and let your other players play the game. That's what they're there for. It makes no sense that you play an injured player, you ignore your fringe players, and then you play an injured player in the final and don't use your other players because what's the point? They're not match fit. It's no point playing them. Hopefully he learns because I do want him to succeed. I just want trophies as well. So it's about
Yeah.
striking the balance.
Yeah. Nico?
Yeah. I think he has. I don't want to be too critical because, I definitely, as Becky would have said, I think he really wants the best for the club. Yes, I think that he's a yes man. I think that, he is so easygoing that the Glazers might find him being a easy pushover. So I think definitely he has underachieved. I think this group of players, I think, really need to get the the more out of Bruno. Yes, Bruno has been given us a lot, but I think if, as we would have spoken about a lot of dreams, I think Bruno, if he just clean up his game, get a bit more efficient, he could even be better than he is at the moment. So even thinking about a better Bruno in this team. Like we think about playing Pogba in a position where he will be effective for the team, every game. Getting Rashford, as Becky would have said, fit and firing for every game. How much more this team could achieve? Getting the best of our centre backs. If it is that Lindelof not good enough, if it's that Lindelof is not physical enough, right? And yes, Lindelof might be good on the ball, but is Lindelof what we need defensively? To me, no. Maybe Bahi's the player if we give Bahi that run of games. Yes, we know he has got injured, but maybe a decent run of games of Bahi, letting him know that he is the number one next to Maguire, right? We number two, I should say, next to Maguire. Maybe we might see more. We might see more from this team now. So definitely, I think this team has underachieved under Oli, and I think that next season, I agree with everybody else. If it is that he hasn't or we haven't progressed out of the group stage in Champions League, I think definitely we had to be looking for a change, because at the end of the day, we want to win titles. We want to be the Manchester United, not fighting for a top four, as Becky would have said, and eventually becoming Arsenal, but challenging for titles and winning titles, on a consistent basis. And I think that is where we need to be. And if by the group stage, Oli hasn't proved to us that he has the metal to take us there, then definitely we have to see a change.
All right, nice. So, Greg, before I come to you, right, I just want to get some comments here. Richard saying we were way better this season, and the games we were losing before we started winning, and maybe a lot of draws, but next season it will be converted to wins. So Richard is very, very positive. He's also saying, so because he smiles on the outside means he's a yes man. Wow, none of us know the man personally, but to each his own. All right. Davian saying, I have to disagree. We're still losing matches, especially the ones with high pressure. PC squared, as I like to call it. I really late. Good night. Thanks for joining, nonetheless. All right. And he's commenting from the YouTube platform. So thanks for that, buddy. Jody's saying, just my opinion, but I think it's time for Pogba to leave if he's not going to commit to the club. I guess that's a discussion for when we do the transfer talk, right? Go through, Greg.
Okay, and I mean, I have to go back to that comment where it's saying that because he smiles and it looks like he's being too much of a nice guy. I mean, what I think people are mistaking him for being a yes man for is basically trying to do something completely opposite from what all the previous managers have done. Because we've seen what's happened in the past. Jose Mourinho complained and started to become combative, and everything just started to get disenchanted, and then people were starting to get upset with everything and how it was going. And then eventually it led to him being dismissed. Louis van Gaal complained and said that, the club wasn't being run properly. Dismissed. David Moyes was out of his depth. There's no argument there. But I keep saying to people, at the end of the day, it's kind of like Ollie's trying to make sure that he's getting his message across without stepping on people's toes. Because sometimes you may not want to be that outrightly combative individual and say, hey, I ain't like how you're doing this, I ain't like how you're doing that. Sometimes that doesn't get the message across. Sometimes that just makes you look like, all right, you know what, you being a problem. And the people who have the power and who are higher up enough, they can say, all right, time for you to go. Yes, you sometimes have to know how to tread cautiously. Anybody who knows how to make a move in any business is that sometimes you have to move in silence. Sometimes you have to not be as outlandish and out there. Sometimes it requires more subtlety in the way to handle situations. But I am going to keep saying it like this, that like I said, I keep standing by that. The group stage, if he doesn't go past that, then I think it's best to go. That whole thing with Lindelof being good enough, let's face facts. Becky's stronger than Lindelof. I'm going to say it right here. Becky is stronger than Victor Lindelof. I give her that much. She looks like she's a solid person and she could take a few lash and she can give out just as hard. But that is an issue that needs to be corrected once we get the players that we need to get in place. If all of that happens and he gets what he needs and he still cannot resolve the issues that's going forward, then it's best to part ways, because for all the impacts that you have made and for all the progress that he has given us, I still would agree with everybody else that he's underachieved, because there are certain games that you would have thought, okay, we should have this in the bag. And you want to know how the hell we draw it, how the hell we lose it. So I look at that sometimes, and in my mind, as much as I've stuck with Ollie throughout everything, and in a lot of instances, he hasn't let me down. But there are some games, and I watch him like, what are you doing? So I'm as much as I support the man, I am just as much of a critic of what he does. I'm not going to blind myself and have the blinders on and say, oh, this is just a mistake, he's going to get away. No, I'm not doing that to myself. I can't do that to myself. Because as much as I understand and I believe somebody's doing something and wants to improve on it, I have to call it for what it is. I have to call a spade a spade. So when it's all said and done, if it reaches to the point where I don't think he's shown progression from what he's done now, then yeah, nice one.
Yeah. I don't know if I might be the only person who thinks Ollie probably overachieved, and I'll tell you why, right? Because I've realized that if we really want to reach the level that we want to, I mean personally, I don't have an issue with Ollie staying. I've always said that Ollie is a man manager. He has done pretty well with handling players, big names, the Pogbas, how he handles player situations. He's done really well. And we saw one of the greatest managers, and I say it with quotes, come here and mess our dressing room up. From what Jose Mourinho has achieved, he's one of the worst man managers I've seen in my life, right? But I've always said, together with that statement where I applaud Ollie's man management skills, that he needs a better backroom staff. I can't remember which one of you all mentioned it in terms of sacking some people in the dressing room, because I think
that was
right.
Nico.
So
no, that wasn't me. That was somebody else, maybe Becky. Somebody.
Well, whoever said it, right?
Yeah.
Whoever said it. But the point is, Michael Carrick and McKenna, they are the ones that do the training. They are Hollywood say, hey, this is what I want to see. I want us to play fast, transitions, interchange, skill, quality, whatever. And McKenna and Carrick are the ones that go on the pitch and they try to execute it with the players. And from what I'm seeing, I don't think they're doing a pretty good job, right? Because if you can have Pogba, Cavani, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood on a pitch in a final against I don't know who went yellow, and we don't beat them in 120 minutes, then something is wrong, right? Something is definitely wrong, right? Because I'm telling you, you put a team like Man City out there, you put a Chelsea out there, and they're blowing. Going. I mean, football is a funny game, but are going on the notion that they're going to blow Villarreal away, right? Just look at the way they play, right? So going back to the season, when you look at the likes of what happened to Liverpool, when you look at what happened to somebody mentioned Man City, other teams who we know would have challenged the Chelseas, right? We are not. I don't care what nobody say. Convince me otherwise. We are not the second best team in that league, right? So for us to finish second, I think Ollie did a very, very good job. Yes, I know we wanted trophies, but as I always say, the Premier League is their bread and butter. So that's how I judge in it. And for us to finish second, we overachieve. And that's how I see it. Now, and the problem with overachieving this season is next season, nobody going to accept second. People want first place. People want us to run whoever were to come first, if not us. We had to run them to the wire. You understand what I'm saying? So Ollie continues to set himself up by overachieving with a squad that has little depth, whether he chooses to use it or not, and is not properly coached. So I think Ollie has put himself in a real situation here where next season people are not gonna accept third, fourth, or even second that easily, especially if the board were to back him. So for me, I want to see a team that is playing better football, who is better coached. We all echoing that, right? And if that's not going to happen next season, then that is when I'm gonna start to look at Ollie different. I wouldn't say as in the middle or back and forth as Bex, right? But I believe Ollie, I've seen what he's done. I believe he can do what he can do good. I just think he needs a better support team. Let me just get a couple of comments here, and then we'll watch my PC squared. I should ban you for this comment.
Ooh.
Where's that one?
Wow.
Where's that one? Where's
Wow.
that? What going on?
I was left.
Hey, Dream Chaser, welcome, man. He's saying we are either losing or drawing against side we're supposed to win. We can't break down sides that sit back with 11 behind the ball. We need to fix that. Each draw is 2 points lost, correct?
That's true.
And I hope that is something Oli and his team gonna work on next season. But I mean, I think from the season before and next season, we saw where games where we would have lost, we won. Or even drawn, we won. Davian saying, even if we get more players, I don't see him winning trophies, especially how clueless he is with Donny. I think somebody mentioned Donny may not have been his signing, so consider that. Richard saying, Davian, are you sure if you get to manage United for one day, you run out? Dream Chaser saying, I disagree. Remember, Ollie didn't get the players he wanted, and he still played better football than any other coach. Less before, beside Fergie. All right. And the final comment. All right. Hey, Dwayne. Welcome, man. Thanks for joining. Saying good night, guys. Hope everyone is well. My contribution toward this healthy convo is we are still in the phase of the post-Fergie era with wanting things to go our way this year. This may not be controversial. This may be a controversial statement, but I've always felt like we were a decade away from reaching City and Liverpool standards since we sacked Moyes and brought Van Gaal. From Van Gaal to our time, that's 7 years, right? Now we are 3 years away from that decade with a proper transfer, and more tact. All right, yeah. So I mean, he's seen where we actually getting closer to the decade where we should be where Liverpool and City are. Correct me if I read that wrong. Davian saying that's because we have quality players, not quality coaching. Individual brilliance. Jody saying we may not be the second place team in the league, but really we played for it this year. Yeah, and we played for it. But I mean, if we look at it, we're not the second best team, and by that measure, we overachieved. Richard saying we can't break stubborn defenses because we don't have a traditional right wing, neither CDM. I think we can't break stubborn defenses because we don't have a game plan, we don't have tactics.
Yeah.
Anyway, so guys, we've come to the end of the review. I don't know if I'm feeling positive about Ollie or negative.
Indifferent.
But let me
That's the best way we could say. Indifferent.
Yeah. So let me just get some closing thoughts and wrap it up. Yeah, Simeon?
Well, regardless if we want Ollie there or not, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just getting players there. I mean, we know he can't win without his players. So I'm not going to fire him. So let's all hope and pray he gets his players in there. A defensive back, a CDM right winger. I mean, he just needs his guys there. I don't want these excuses next year. I mean, because we had these the year before. I mean, we need to get it done now. Otherwise, we'll be seeing the same thing next year. Get the players in, no excuses. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Bex?
Yeah, so I hate going back to Mourinho, but I guess I have to make a point that he achieved second place with 84 points, was it? And trophies. And we sacked him because we didn't consider him good enough to be the manager of Manchester United. For his man management, whatever it was, he was still sacked. It wasn't good enough. If that was not good enough, then nothing Ole has done so far should be good enough by our standards. Um, give him the players, give him the time. Let's see what happens. But I don't think Karim, I have to disagree. I don't think he overachieved with this team. We lost a lot of foolish points with all the draws, and that's more than 10 points it would have made up to catch City and get we I mean we I didn't see us winning the league, to be honest, but it was a possibility with all these dropped points. So we're not the second best team in England. That has to be Chelsea, even though they beat City. Um, we just happened to get there because they didn't have a quality manager for the entire season. That's it. So let's see what happens in the transfer window. I guess we'll be discussing that soon, and let's see if Ole is not as clueless as we think he is.
Hmm. Agree.
I mean, I don't know. I just look at it from the perspective of, okay, yeah, look at it. He wins trophies, but the environment he created afterwards is very, very toxic, and people were falling out with him left, right, and center. If that's what we want to go with going forward, then call him back. But we're gonna. That's all as X's and O's in this situation.
Yeah.
But I look at it from here, where, like everybody's saying, this is the make or break season for Ollie for me. If things don't go according to the plans that he may have in place, then it may be time to really call it a day. I mean, okay, Reem, I get it. You would say that we overachieved because we're the second best. We're not the second best team in the league, but we did enough to get there. If that doesn't give us any merit for anything, I don't know what is. The only thing again is getting over the line and being a bit more clinical and rising to the occasions in the bigger games. That's where I see where improvements need to be made. And you're right, because now, because he's achieved this position, he's really put himself in with a bullseye, and people are going to be looking at him like, okay, he did this, he achieved this with these players. Why he has better players and he can't achieve them now? So if things do go horribly wrong, he's in a bad way. I keep looking at it. People will say, okay, Chelsea were the better team because they beat City. We beat City too. We beat City at home in their backyard, and then their home record. So it's clear that he has an idea of what he wants to do because it's worked against the top six in the past. We just have to be more consistent. And I would hope to think that with the way he wants things to go, that we will see better football. You give him the Sanchos, you give him the DM, you give him the next centre back. If after all that, he still doesn't, like I said, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I feel like a broken record. If he still gets all of that and still doesn't do anything, free reign. Call the firing squad.
Yeah. Nicole, closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think for me, the season is done. It was what it was. We can't go back and change anything. To me, it's really about looking forward. Looking towards the transfers that we make in the next couple of weeks. We really hoping it's transfers to strengthen the squad. I think going back into that season, as much as you can't really blame Lindelof much for what the squad has not achieved. I think he definitely has to. We has to get an improvement in the centre back position. If it is that Lindelof finds himself not good enough to be on the bench and it is to move on, I have no problem with that. But I definitely think we had to get an improvement, in the centre back position and also in other positions on the field. And I think, as everybody else would have said, after that is done, I think that is when, because at the end of the day, Ollie didn't bring in Lindelof. Ollie didn't bring in Mopai. You know, he brought in Maguire. You know, so let me get a centre back who at least you could say maybe is Ollie's choice, and then judge. You know, the silly goals continue to concede on set plays and that sort of thing. You know, so let me see what happened in the transfer window, and let me see what happens next season. You know, let me hope that he get what he wants, and after that, then I think we will be you could judge him fairly, you know, on next season's performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said, Nico. And you know, I really hope that the signings happen on time or early enough. You know, these deadline days signatures, you know, and panic buys don't really help now. You know, even though Cavani would have worked out good, it's not the ideal. Yeah. So guys, thanks again. Right, we definitely will look at how the transfer season, if I could call it that, how that going, and we'll definitely, you know, come back again and do some discussions, celebrate, you know, getting Sancho, celebrate Martial getting the extension, you know, and all I'm laughing for. Anyway,
Reem. Quit while you're ahead, big man. Quit while you're ahead, big man. Quit while you're ahead. Quit while you're ahead.
All of those sleep on the man, eh? Don't sleep on the man. Don't sleep on the man.
Let him man stop. Ask squaring first before we start our talk now, please.
You know. Anyway. Yeah. So guys, so we'll definitely be, you know, bringing more content to you all. This is not it, even though this may seem as the season ending review. You know, we have a lot of content again to bring to you all. So you know, allow all United to be your trusted, you know, platform to bring content and where you could, you know, contribute as well. So I want to thank Greg, Simeon, and Bex for, you know, being a part of this review. You know, and you know, for all those who were in the comment section as well, you know, we always appreciate it. So don't forget to like, you know, share, and we also on the YouTube platform, you can go there and subscribe and share that one as well, you know. So to everybody, do have a good night and continue to remain safe. You know, we know COVID is trying to do one on us. Yeah, but I mean, a lot is dependent on us as human beings to be responsible. So I don't know how the situation is with Simeon in the US, but here in Trinidad, we are under, you know, a serious lockdown. Yeah. So, guys, we will see you on the next video. All right. So have a good night. Or just now, I'm gonna do this thing correct.